Hello there, everybody. Can everyone hear me? I'm going to unmute everybody for the moment. And hello there, everybody. We're just going to be waiting. We have a few more people signing on. I'm going to keep everybody muted because there's always some good background noise. But is everybody able to hear me? If someone could just respond. Terry, can you hear me? Or Rusty or Barry? Leigh, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
All right. They may not be. They may be on mute on their end. I don't know.
I mean, I can see where it says talking that some different names flash
Terry.
up.
Yeah, they can self-mute, and I think Terry did that. Barry, are you there? Okay, I'm not hearing anybody, but that doesn't mean...
Oh, Mike, in the question,
yep, I can hear you. Yeah. Good. Okay, that's all we need to know. That gets us beyond the biggest, usually one of the biggest problems. Just making sure everyone's got audio, so we're good. All right, good, beautiful. All right, we'll give it a few more minutes because we've got a few more people coming on. I'm going to go ahead, everybody, and mute everyone just because of the background noise. So we'll get started in just a few seconds. We're a little before 10. Okay, so they're muted just to keep the background noise down, and I'll mute myself when I'm done giving introductions.
Sounds good.
Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning, Mike. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Just wanted to say hello. We're going to, you know what we do, we're going to mute everybody, but I just wanted to say hello.
Good morning, Mike.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Oh, okay. I can hear you now. Yep. Good.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. We're going to put everybody on mute, but I just wanted to say good morning.
Sounds good.
Okay, we're just waiting on three more folks. Moira, it looks like it's already being recorded, so that's fine.
I'll cut it down. I don't know how that happens. But...
Yeah, you should be able to edit. I think Katie knows how. Katie's done it before. Mm-hmm. So. Hmm. Okay. Got it. Okay, we're going to wait one more minute. We're at 10 o'clock, and then Leigh and Andrew, we will get moving here.
Works for me. Thank you.
Okay, everybody, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, good morning. My name is Mike Burke. I'm the Executive Director for the Pennsylvania School Bus Association. Moira McNally, who is our Member Services Coordinator, is joining us this morning as well. We wanted to welcome you to another one of our START webinar presentations. This is coming courtesy of our friends at First National Bank, and it deals with a pretty important issue these days on protecting your identity. Our speakers, our presenters from First National are Leigh Conrad and Andrew Capucci. Leigh began her banking career with Bank of America, and during which she received her master's degree in psychology from Washington College. Upon graduating, she accepted a position as a branch manager and has continued working with several financial institutions in that capacity. She's been with First National Bank since October of 2017 and has 15 years of banking experience and well-versed in personal finance and security. Joining her is Andrew Capucci, who has served in different capacities in the banking industry over the last 10 years. Started out as a teller, moving up to become a personal banker, and for the past 8 years has been involved in workplace banking in that department. In his role as a personal banker for various employees of various businesses, he does use this experience. I understand, Andrew, you are an experienced seminar deliverer, presenter, so we're pleased to have you on board as well. So without further hesitation, let me also maybe a couple of housekeeping tasks. We do have everybody on mute. I think I mentioned that earlier because of the background noise that we get when we put a group together. There is an ability for you to ask a question. You can simply submit it in writing. There is a way to do that, to pose a question. And at the end, and we'll take them as they come in, but in the end, what we'll do is we'll open up the mics, unmute everybody. If it's not too bad in the background, get a little, in case there's any dialogue or questions back and forth anybody else has. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Leigh and Andrew with our thanks for being here. Leigh, it's all yours.
Thank you. Andrew and I are here, so I'll kick it off to Andrew.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Feel free during the call to contact us throughout. I appreciate any interaction that we have. It's not a problem. Obviously, we'll take a lot of questions and answers during the final part of the presentation towards the end. So we'll go ahead and get started. Studies show that an individual's ID is stolen every 2 seconds. 1 in every 3 Americans will experience identity theft within their lifetime. So I believe there are 7, 8, 9 of us here total so far that we know of. You figure that out, 3 of us will have our identities stolen. So we're going to go ahead and talk about how identity theft occurs, some different scenarios, and then we'll come up with some solutions for you as well. Try to create awareness around identity theft. There are many, many different ways to protect yourself from identity theft, but there's no one perfect solution for everyone. So we'll go ahead, we'll get started here on the presentation. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with our quiz. Which age group is most at risk for identity theft? A, 18 to 29-year-olds, B, 30 to 45-year-olds, C, 46 to 58-year-olds, or D, 58 to 70-year-olds. Chances are a lot of you are already thinking answer D because of senior citizens and they're more susceptible to identity theft. That's actually not correct. The correct answer is answer A, the age bracket of 18 to 29. This is because of our younger generation. They're out taking pictures, posting them all over the internet of themselves, maybe away enjoying vacation. That leaves them susceptible to somebody coming in to their houses and stealing their identities that way, whether it be going through their mail or personal credit cards left behind. This generation also tends to be a little bit more naive in some areas in the aspect that you just pass off your credit or debit card to anybody. You're out partying with people, you want to pay the bill, pick up the tab, you pass your things along, or you're just not aware of the type of people that are out there. You leave your information out all the time in the open, get stolen that way. So that's why 18 to 29-year-olds are a lot more susceptible to identity theft. Identity theft is the crime of setting up and using personal information, bank accounts, and credit in another person's name without their knowledge. So this can include their name, maybe their birth date. Everybody has their birth date up on Facebook now, right on somebody's wall, post on their Instagram. That's a good way to get that information out there. Your social security number, your driver's license number, your credit card number, or your checking account number. Everyone is at risk for identity theft that uses a credit card, makes online purchases, or pay bills. These are all very great convenience items that we do have now available to us at the drop of a button. I can't tell you the last time really I paid cash for anything. I'm a swiper mostly because I enjoy the points on my credit card, which is why I also make the online purchases that I do. So right there, those two things make me more susceptible. I don't really have a lot of bills that I pay through the mail. I have no bills that I pay through the mail, actually, so that's not a big risk for myself. Some people still do pay their bills through the mail because that's the only option they have. Maybe your garbage bill you pay through the mail, maybe a couple other things, but mostly everything in business is conducted online now. In 2014, almost 40% of complaints were identity thefts behind credit card fraud, bank fraud, and loan fraud, which came in at 30%. Identity theft, the cost is actually increasing. It's a little more than $5,000. This year it went up by a couple hundred more dollars. The average person spends at least 40 hours trying to correct their identity theft, which when you think about it, that's an entire work week. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't have an extra 40 hours in my week to correct everything. And honestly, when your identity is stolen, everything else kind of has to be put on hold until that can be taken care of, because the longer your identity is stolen, the more susceptible you are to having issues later on down the road. This can cost consumers thousands of dollars more, depending on the sophistication of the thief and the speed of detection which is occurred. So later on in the presentation, we're going to go ahead and talk about a couple of ways you can actually regularly check up to make sure your identity hasn't been compromised. So your identity theft can be stolen through a number of different ways. Low-tech ways are dumpster diving. Everybody has those issues. Something I do caution people. I work for an estate sale company on the weekend, so I do a lot of estate sales, set them up and stuff like that. It's amazing the amount of personal information that loved ones leave behind of their deceased loved one. So what I mean by that is if their checkbook is left, obviously they can no longer write their own checks, but that doesn't mean you just toss them in the garbage. They need to be shredded at a place such as Staples or another place that you can take those items to where they can be destroyed properly. It is very easy to steal somebody's identity who has actually passed away. It's a lot easier than you think, and it creates a lot of havoc when the person's identity has been stolen and the estate is left with those charges. It makes it impossible to close out that estate account as well. There's old-fashioned stealing. Maybe some woman is walking through the store and her purse is stolen, or a man has been pickpocketed and has his wallet stolen. There's the address change. How this works is, and this is actually a very common thing that happens. I actually did this seminar last night. This happened to an individual there. You're away at work. Everyone knows your schedule. You're away from 7:30 to about 5:30 every day. So your neighbors are constantly aware of your whereabouts. I actually travel quite a bit for work. If I'm gone longer than 2 days, somebody in my town will call me and ask me where I am. Everybody watches me for some reason, but they always know when I'm gone. And I actually park behind my house, so you really have to pay attention to whether I'm there or not. That being said, it's creating more of an awareness that people know that I'm away more than I realize it. What this does is it creates an awareness of, obviously you're not getting your mail, or your mail comes at the same time every day. What criminals are doing is they're going through your mailboxes while you're away, and those pre-approved credit cards that you get in the mail, they're actually taking them out of your mailbox, filling out the address change on the back, and then taking out the credit cards in your name without you even realizing what's happening. So this could go on years, and you have no clue because the bills are not going to your house. So it's important to pay attention to your billing cycle and your billing statements. We'll get into that a little bit later on. There's also the telephone scams. Maybe you're related to that rich Norwegian prince or the African prince somewhere. Maybe one of your children or grandchildren has been held hostage, and they won't be released unless you wire a certain amount of money to someone. These type of scams are becoming more and more common, especially with people who are in duress. One of the things that studies have shown is when your loved one passes away, you write up an obituary, and the obituary usually names survivors. So it will say, so-and-so is survived by Andrew Capucci of, and it will name the town that I live in. What this does is it makes it easier for a criminal to Google your name, and all kinds of information pops up about you. It's very easy to find out not just your name, but your relatives. When you're Googled, you can find out criminal offenses. You can find out their address. You can find out their phone number. So what people are doing is when people are in duress, they're reading those obituaries and calling and stealing money that way, coming up with a sophisticated scam. Or sometimes what will happen is you're away at somebody's funeral and your house will be robbed. And that's how else your identity is stolen too. So it's important to be aware of your surroundings and maybe some of the issues that you may be causing without even realizing it. There's also high-tech ways. There's skimming, fishing, or farming. We'll get into that here in a second. I kind of want to do that. All right, skimming. So that's a special storage device used to obtain your credit or debit card attached to legitimate payment receptors. So, for instance, there's a gang in York. And what their part of their initiation is they actually have to place a skimming device within a machine, a payment receptor. So this could happen at a gas station. It could happen at a financial institution. These devices are actually smaller than the chips on your credit card. What people don't realize is how small these devices are. Many consumers feel like there's a big machine inside of your machine. How did you not know that was there? Well, that's not what the case is. It's a very, very small device placed inside into a machine, and it obtains your information that way, and that's how your bank information or your identity is compromised. So that's why we tell you make sure you use a device where an anti-skimming device has already been placed inside, just for your protection. Here at the bank, we do have people who do regularly check our ATMs, as well as we've placed some new technology on our ATMs to keep people from experiencing this type of disruption. There's also phishing. You also get that unsolicited email that appears from a legitimate source, maybe saying somebody you've inherited something or it's a long-lost relative. You need to proceed with caution. Anytime you have to wire money right away, that should set up a red flag in your mind that you should not be utilizing that website or that email. Farming. Many of you may remember the Equifax scandal that happened 2 years ago where many customers had their information compromised. What Equifax did is they set up a website where you could go online for free to check and see if you'd become a victim of the scam. And what happened was those scammers had already put up a website that looked exactly identical to the one Equifax had already placed up and put in use. People were entering their personal information, and that's how their information was stolen. So that happens a lot more than what people realize. Hence why we always encourage people to make sure that they use very, very secure websites whenever they're online doing any type of business. I really encourage everyone to research the websites that they utilize before making purchases or putting in any type of personal information, even if it is just your address. So there's many different types of fraud. Some of the examples are bank fraud. This is why when you come into a financial institution to conduct some business, we ask to see your identification. This isn't for an inconvenience to you. It's to protect you as well as your loved ones from any issues from happening. Sometimes we ask to see 2 forms of ID. Again, maybe you've become a victim, and that's why we ask to see a couple forms of ID. There's credit card fraud. This happens a lot. There's phone or utilities fraud. What happens is if somebody comes in, has your meter rigged so that they're siphoning your electricity into their place and you're essentially paying their bills. This government documents fraud or employment fraud. This is when somebody actually is pretending to be you and working. This is why there's background checks done when you're hired to work somewhere. What people don't realize is employment fraud is actually a very common issue that happens. People don't realize it until they're actually leaving a company and going to work somewhere else. We do that background check. We're looking into you. And it says, oh, my word, Leigh Conrad actually works out at Wells Fargo in California or Zimbabwe or somewhere. That's when flags go up for us. We just want to make sure that you're protected from any fraudsters or criminals. And then there's, of course, the telephone scam, somebody claiming to hold somebody hostage or they need bail money or something like that. We've all read something like this occurring or we've heard it on the news. So how do you monitor your identity theft? So there's all different types of scenarios and ways that your identity can be stolen. One of the most common ways, too, that I tell people to be aware of is everybody I'm sure on this call is traveling or is going to be traveling at some point in time, staying overnight in a hotel somewhere. It's important that when you end your stay at the hotel, you either keep that key or you make sure that you carry a magnet with you, because on that magnetic strip is all kinds of personal information about you. It might be your name as well as your method of payment. It can be anything that identifies you as a unique user to that key and gives you access to that room. So you want to be aware of that. That's a very simple way to have to protect yourself from having any identity theft issues. So here's some red flags that you want to look for on your account. Unexplained account activity. Fraudsters don't start out and steal $25,000. They do it in very small increments. They want to know how much you're paying attention to your billing cycle statement to know how much they can get away with. One of the things that people do is they use their credit cards a lot to get gas. And everybody knows you like to round up to the nearest dollar when you're filling up that gas tank. You want even $25. What I encourage people to do is to actually change it, if they can, to have the change be what month we're in. So fill up your card at $25.01 in January, $25.02 in February, $25.11 in November. What this does is it allows you to skim through your bill real quick still and look through everything and say, hey, that gas purchase seems a little off. What did I do? And again, I know that gas pump can be finicky sometimes, so it might not go up to $25.01. It could be 3 cents. But still, you get the point there. Look for any accounts you didn't open. Maybe somebody has gone through your mailbox and opened up that account you didn't know about. You want to pay attention to things like this, especially when you're researching your credit report. Look for accurate information on your credit report. Everybody is given a chance to look up their credit information once a year for free. So you can use a number of different websites, Experian and TransUnion. Obviously, right now, Equifax, people are a little leery of using. Those two websites you can use for free, and your credit report will pop up with everything on there that you need to know. If something looks off, you're able to call somebody and address the situation immediately. Look for missing or anticipated mail. Many of us have customers who wait outside for their mailbox. That time of the month, maybe it's the 15th of the month, they get that bill. And if that bill or that statement, if the statement isn't in their mailbox on the 15th, they're having a panic. Somebody might be stealing their mail, or maybe the mail is just behind a couple of days. But that being said, these people are actually more aware of when something is wrong or somebody might be tampering with their mail. Also be on the lookout for credit cards that didn't arrive or credit cards that arrived that you may not have applied for. This actually is common. One of my attendees at a seminar last night, this happened to one of them. They actually got a credit card that they didn't apply for in the mail. And it was not a pre-approved credit card. It was a credit card ready for them to use. In their name, already set up, giving them the information on how to open up that card so they could start utilizing it. Pay attention to credit issues. A lot of us have those unknown numbers that are calling us. It may be a collection agency. Somebody took out a loan in your name and they didn't pay for it. Somebody might have a new house in your name and you had no clue about it. You just never know, so you really want to pay attention to calls from the collection agencies to try to figure out what's going on. The other issue that people experience are they'll go into a financial institution and apply for a loan and get declined and not know why. This is why you want to check your credit once a year. It will flash if there's a problem. All of a sudden your credit score went from an 800 to a 300. There's obviously a problem in a situation you want to address immediately. Some people come in to a financial institution, apply for that loan, get declined, and it takes months for them to fix their credit in order to get the loan. And by that point, maybe they've missed the opportunity on their dream home or their dream car. So that's why you want to always be aware of any issues. You can track your credit for free on annualcreditreport.com. They're the only authorized source under federal law for you to use. The phone number is listed there for you to use. Okay, so how do you safeguard yourself? So we've gone through all different kinds of scenarios of how your identity is stolen. Now we want to know, how do you safeguard yourself? As I said when we started out the call, there's really no 100% proof way to safeguard yourself. They make wallets now so that technology can't be used to read through your wallet. That's one way to protect yourself from having any issues. But again, that's only one way. Here's a couple other things you can do. Remove any unused credit or debit cards. It always amazes me when people are going shopping, the amount of credit card space is allotted to them in a wallet. I'm always amazed. I don't know why people have that many credit or debit cards. There's no way anybody's using all of those cards. So destroy them, get rid of them, close them out, including the expired ones. Also, I'm assuming everybody on this call is over the age of 18. You really need to have your Social Security number memorized. There's no reason to walk around with that card in your wallet. Once you lose that, you've got a bigger problem for yourself because you've carried that around. Keep those Social Security numbers in a safe place, or Social Security cards in a safe place, whether it be a safe at home or in a safe at a financial institution closest to you, the safe deposit box. There's really no need for anybody to carry those around. I always tell people you live and die by that Social Security number. If you end up having to have two in your lifetime, it creates a lot more havoc for you. So if your wallet's misplaced or stolen, this is one more thing that the criminal doesn't have access to. Make sure you have a list of phone numbers for all the credit cards. In the event that you need to cancel, you can also Google them. When you're under stress, it's a lot more difficult to remember what credit cards you have, so having a list does help that out. As far as your mail, switch to e-statements when possible. These are very convenient. You don't have to worry about anybody getting into your mailbox. The great thing about e-statements is you do get a notification in your email saying, hey, your e-statement is ready for you to view, but you don't see your e-statement until you log into the site that you're using. Stop mail when you're away, even if you're away for just a couple days. Again, my illustration earlier of people noticing how often I'm out of town. This is why I have my mail actually sent elsewhere, is so that nobody is aware and nobody has access to my personal property. The post office obviously provides that mail or that stop mail service for you for free, so why not utilize it? When you're moving, redirect all your mail, even those pre-approved credit card statements that you're getting. Try to get rid of them altogether. If not, have them redirected to your own personal home. That way nobody else has access to the information. Shred all your documents that contain your personal information. Many of us go home and take those pre-approved credit card statements, rip them up and toss them in the trash. While you've ripped it up, you have not completely destroyed it, nor have you properly shredded it. One of the things that actually happened to one of my aunt's neighbors is the individual ripped up their mail and tossed it in the burn barrel, walked away from the burn barrel, and a little piece of paper flew up into the other neighbor's yard and landed in the other neighbor's yard. This piece of paper contained the individual's Social Security number on it, and that's how her identity was stolen. So things that you're not even paying attention to, you really need to be more assertive about those things and destroy any personal property properly. Make sure you shred expired debit and credit cards as well. As far as your electronics, computers, make sure you have the safeguard on your laptops, tablets, and cell phones. One of the things I wanted to talk about was many of us use online shopping or we utilize that online bill pay. We look at our banking information, we look at our personal information all via the web. This is a great convenience for everybody to have. However, the issue that does happen is many people think that if they close out of a program, they're safe and they've logged out. That's not the case. Unless you hit the words log out, sign out, get out of the program, whatever the magic word may be to log out of that program, when you close out of that, you haven't logged out. You've just merely closed out and your information is still out there. What fraudsters and criminals are doing now is they're traveling around your neighborhoods in their cars, and they've got devices in their cars that are able to read information off of your computer, and they're able to obtain your identity that way. Make sure you keep your antivirus software up to date on your computers, and only download software from trusted sources. So again, this is when you want to do research. You want to put this program on your computer. You want to have the software on there. Research it out to make sure it's not a scam. Make sure your computers are protected with passwords. Use complicated passwords or patterns. A lot of people think if they have that special word in mind with a number and a special figure, that'll be easy for people not to figure out. What people should be doing now is using a pattern. Makes things a little bit more difficult for a fraudster to use. As far as your online shopping goes, make sure that you have a secure connection. Use caution when you're buying from unfamiliar websites. If it doesn't seem right or you have a gut feeling about it, it's best not to use that website. And again, log off the website when you've completed any personal transactions. So now that you've kind of monitored your ID, now you want to figure out, okay, now if you've had your ID stolen, how do you recover that? Recovering your identity does take quite a while. As I said, at least 40 hours are required to do everything properly, cross all those T's and dot those I's, and even then can never feel 100% safe again. So how do you recover your ID? Well, here's a couple of suggestions that we have. Obviously, you want to contact the company where your identity was stolen from. That's key. Call the credit card company, call the store, contact whoever you need to get that payment stopped, figure out what may have happened. Place a fraud alert on your credit report. This is very important to do, and you need to do this quickly, because if a criminal is acting swiftly, they may have already applied for a bank account or a loan in your name. You want to get this information out there as soon as possible. You want to report your identity theft to the Federal Trade Commission. We provided you with a phone number and a website there on the information for you to contact them, and also file a police report with the local authorities. The police actually come out to your house in most cases for you to fill this out. It's a convenience for you because you've already gone through enough distress. Also gets the neighbors talking about a lot about why there's a police car in your driveway, but nonetheless, it does keep you safe from having any types of issues that may occur in the future. Also, this helps with any criminal charges that may happen in the future. You've notified the authorities, they've caught the fraudster or the criminal, and they want to prosecute them. Here's your chance to have your name in there and make sure that this person doesn't do this again. You want to put a fraud alert on your account. This is really important for everybody to do. This safeguards you. Your initial fraud alert lasts 90 days. Your extended fraud alert lasts 7 years. The nice thing about your extended fraud alert is that any lenders have to contact you to authorize any new account in your name. In other words, you don't go get that annoying marketing material saying you're pre-approved for a credit card. It stops all that mail from happening. The other thing that you can do is put a security freeze on your account. You must authorize any access to your credit report. So if you go into a local branch to apply for a loan, we can't just merely pull that information out. You have to give us permission. We have to go through a couple extra steps in order to help you get the loan properly. We'll have to see multiple forms of IDs. You may have secure passwords on there. It takes a little bit of extra time, but it's well worth it to be able to have that. In order to get that, that is free, but you need to have been a victim of identity theft. One of the things that I encourage many people to do is know somebody personally at your financial institution. I'm sure that many of us on the phone do not go into our local financial institution often, given the fact that we have direct deposit now, or we have mobile deposits. Everything's done via the web now. This is a great convenience to us, but also it leaves you somewhat with sometimes what you would feel as a disservice. What I mean by that is when you've become a victim of identity theft or you've had an emergency in your life, we want to be able to help you quickly and efficiently. If we do not know who you are, we have to ask all the different security questions, almost down to asking somebody their type of blood type or anything like that. When you're under stress, you don't remember a lot of the passwords. This becomes more of a hassle. You get short with people. I've had it happen to me where I've gotten short with a person who's just really trying to help me out. It's easier for you to call the branch and say, hey, Leigh, this is Andrew. I just had my information compromised. Can you help me out? We'll spend hours with you trying to help you research everything and iron things out. It's not a problem for us. This is why we're here to help you out. If nobody knows you, not a teller, not a customer service rep, not a manager, we're still able to help you out, but not as quickly and efficiently as we would like to be able to help you out. Again, if you call us on the phone and we don't know who you are, how do we not know who the fraudster really is? So we really want to be able to be out there to help you out more than what people realize. So that's why it's key to know somebody at your financial institution. I encourage people after our calls usually to go in, maybe deposit something, even if it's $5 or $1, maybe withdraw something inside, get to know the familiar faces within your local branch so that they can assist you with anything. The next steps you want to take are close any new accounts that may have been opened up in your name. Remove any fraudulent charges from your account. You'll have to work with creditors as well as the place where the offense occurred. Correct your credit report. Consider adding an extended fraud alert or credit freeze to your account. Correcting your credit report does take a while. You do need a notarized form that's sent into them explaining the situation that you've just been through, and they'll be able to assist you. There are people that spend years trying to correct their identity theft. There are people who I've seen or known of that have an entire room or maybe an extra bedroom, spare bedroom in their house designated just as where all of this information exists to try to help them bail them out of the situation that they're currently in. I've seen boxes and boxes of people's houses just as a paper trail of what's going on to protect themselves from identity theft. If your purse or wallet is stolen, make sure you cancel those cards immediately, report the loss to the bank, get a new ATM card with a new PIN number. Again, make sure that PIN number is something not like 1221 that can be reversed. You want to pick something a little bit more difficult, maybe a pattern or something like that. Place a fraud alert on your credit report. When you come into a financial institution to apply for something, this will send a message to us that you've been a victim of identity theft. We need to proceed with caution. We'll get some extra information out of you to make sure you are who you say you are, and we want to be able to help you out in any way possible. Make sure you file that police report, which again is free. Are there any questions?
Do we have any questions from anybody? What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna unmute everybody, unless you've self-muted. I've opened up the floor to questions. I've unmuted everybody. Anybody have any questions for Andrew? I'll relay a quick story though, Andrew, from a friend of mine who actually, you talked about the fact that, people getting calls about their children, being, whatever, held hostage or whatever the case is. To show you how extravagant or how intricate it gets, a friend of mine's son was away at college. Somehow they got background on his grandparents. And to cut the parent out, because obviously if they call the parent and say to the parent, we have your son, blah, 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 it'd be very easy for them, probably easier for them to identify that he's safe or not or whatever. His grandparents got a call saying that he had been arrested and basically said that they have him there and they need him to wire X number of dollars to the police authorities or credit card. I think they actually said a credit card. And what was kind of semi-humorous about it was the grandparents, who might normally say, oh my gosh, my poor grandson, actually had the attitude that well, I'm going to go talk to your mother because if you're in jail, you probably deserve to be there. But needless to say, it was an instance where it wasn't, these criminals are getting smarter and they're doing more background, and somehow they connected that these folks have a grandson, whether it was through Facebook or whatever, and that's how they got. They were able to sort of get into the family. Now, it didn't work in that case, but they really don't. They really go to any means to get that information.
Yeah. Oh. Wow.
Yeah. So just it's everybody in the family is grandparents, parents. They're looking out for. They're looking at everybody. So.
Yeah. No, they really are. They look at everything. Like I said, it's so easy to Google anybody and find out their family history or anything like that. It's very easy to do.
Yep. Again, the floor is open for questions. Anyone have any questions? Wow.
I hope I didn't put them all to sleep.
No, I'll tell you what, this is very interesting. And in fact, will you be able to make these handouts available to us and we can send out to everybody?
Yeah.
So you have it.
Can we just email them to you or?
Yep, email them to us, and then Moira and I will make sure that they get out to everybody. But you see Andrew's contact information, and we really do appreciate First National Bank being a partner with us and helping us, bring this kind of information to everybody.
We're glad we can be here. If you ever need anything, feel free to call us. We're here. Leigh's contact information will be available to everyone as well.
Yeah.
Great.
I'll include that in the email when I send out the presentation to you guys.
Wonderful. Leigh or Andrew, anything else for the good of the cause? This has been tremendous. Anything else for us?
No, sir. Thank you very much for your help. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate it. Everybody, again, you'll have their contact info. I know sometimes you don't want to necessarily ask questions on here either. And people want to maybe they want to catch up to you guys separate of this. So we understand that because this is sort of a personal issue. But again, thank you, everybody, for signing on. Andrew and Leigh, thank you so much. Our next webinar is going to be in 2 weeks on workers' compensation and avoiding overcharges. Boy, we couldn't go totally polar opposite of this.
Right.
So feel free to check out the website, and you'll be getting information on that as well. And again, Leigh and Andrew, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having us.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.